So a report this morning on The Australian, it suggested, and the Premier's knocked this on the head, but it says that financial modelling has been done to involve the possibility of a lockdown into mid-September. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen, but the modelling's been done anyway. What do you think about the possibility of a lockdown into mid-September?
I think there is deep despair as it is today here in Blacktown for local residents and small businesses, for those thousands and thousands of families who at this very moment are logging on for remote learning yet again. And I think the key point here is that we've got squabbling between the federal government and the state government about everything from JobKeeper to vaccinations to whether further lockdowns are the answers. And people simply want a roadmap. They want to see that there is actually a finish line. And unfortunately, at the moment, there is very little hope that is being provided.
If that finish line is mid-September, though, how do you think people in your community would cope? How would businesses cope? And, of course, a JobKeeper 3.0 would surely be needed if it stretched out that long.
Well, I think it's a no-brainer in terms of JobKeeper, and listening to the small businesses in my electorate, they say it's a no-brainer. The amount of red tape, paperwork and simply disqualification from being able to access these payments that have been made available is really not understood by the state and federal governments. As one of the key business leaders here in my local area said to me, there is a real disconnect between what is happening on the ground with small business and what assistance is actually on offer. JobKeeper needs to be reinstated. Whether it is called that or something else does not matter, but there needs to be a return of this wage subsidy scheme that keeps the link between employees and employers.
The numbers aren't coming down either, and there is an expectation today that they'll rise again. Do you believe a tougher lockdown is needed?
Well, it's very clear that Sydney-siders and here in Western Sydney, we are all trying to do the right thing. And depending on, again, the health advice that's received and the numbers that came out today, we should be aware these are not just numbers. These are lives. These are human beings who are being deeply affected by what's going on. And, I mean, that's a matter for the state government to determine in terms of the lockdown extension. But people simply want to know that there is some light at the end of all this. And I will end by saying overnight new sites of concern have emerged in this local area for Seven Hills, Toongabbie and Pendle Hill. And I would urge anyone on that list of affected sites to actually go and get tested, even if they have the mildest of symptoms.
What would you say to any of the protesters who may have come from your electorate and protested over the weekend? What would you say to them today?
You've done no good for any of us, for any of our local businesses who are saying they simply will not survive another 4 weeks the way they're going, for all the families who are trying to work from home and perform homeschooling for their children, for all those people who cannot travel outside of their local government area to work and are going without incomes. You have let us all down by your moronic behaviour. And the vast majority of people, it should be said, want to do the right thing. They want to get vaccinated. They are staying at home. They are social distancing. Here in the Blacktown CBD, it is basically a ghost town. So you have let all of those people down.
A short time ago, we had Dave Sharma on, and he suggested that after as numbers come down in areas outside of places in Western Sydney, that they should be released from lockdown, that restrictions should be eased. How would you feel about that if you and your electorate stayed in lockdown while others were released?
Well, I think we need to realise that while Western Sydney is a big place, it's a very interconnected place, and Sydney itself is very interconnected. Out here in Western Sydney, we are a commuter society. We commute just about everywhere to get services and for work. And just as we have analysis at the moment about the need to have a Commonwealth, I'll be very concerned if we started talking about differentiating different parts of Sydney. As it is, we've got a number of local government areas locked down, including those that affect this entire electorate of Greenway, the Cumberland and Blacktown local government areas. Blacktown alone has 400,000 people. So I think we should have less time and less exercise on some of these issues and more focus on getting vaccines to people who want them and need them, and more financial support for local residents and small businesses.
But do you think it would build resentment within your own community if, say, the eastern suburbs or the northern beaches was released from lockdown after having no or very few cases while you stayed in lockdown?
Well, put it this way, these local residents are doing the right thing. These local residents want life to get back to some semblance of normality. And to think that some parts of Sydney are being treated differently to others, it's well understood that there are health reasons for that. And we accept that. We are doing the right thing. But we really aren't being helped by the sort of commentary that looks to a future where we segregate parts of Sydney, when we should be ensuring that these governments at a state and federal level have a focus on delivering help to residents who need it now and small businesses who are about to go to the wall.
Okay, Michelle Rowland, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us as always. Shadow Communications Minister Michelle Rowland.